Hey everyone, how's it going? Happy Sunday. Hope you've been having a good weekend. And let me know if you can hear me okay. I have some new equipment set up. Like I have a lot of a lot of new pieces. Everything's rerouted to something else and connected somewhere to somewhere else. So yeah, if there's any issues, make sure you let me know. This better be good. I'm watching football. Yeah, that was the funny thing is looking around, I was like, what's the best time to do this on Sunday? It said there's not. There's basketball, football. I guess there's some international stuff going on too. Hey everyone. Give people a few minutes to get in here and then we'll get started. This should be an interesting show. It's not just sound is good. Okay, good. But yeah, it's not it's not just one thing. This is kind of some stuff that's known, some pieces that kind of connect together, and then some things that I don't think some of you have seen probably. And then we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it takes us. Hey, Rick, Becca, Camille, Dog's Nose, Waffles, Moon Goddess, Stefan Feligy, Tawny L. These names are... Someone's going for the Bills. Are you betting people? Let's see, Matt, did they do the DNA test for the Kirk kids yet? I've heard all kinds of stuff that... So you know those AI channels? I've seen some that are talking about the test was done and the results made it so the parents took the kids. I heard the same thing, but Erica took the kids and cut the parents off. I can't really verify any of it, so I would say at this point nothing's official. Yeah, if you guys put your country or your state, I want to see where you guys are from. I see some Arizonas, South Africa. Doge TPUSA. Yep, a lot of people are saying that. All right. I think we're getting to decent numbers now. So I'm going to go ahead and do my intro, and then we'll start getting into this stuff. And I tried to, there's so many different things, and some of them go together and some don't. So I'm going to try and do this methodically. I have it kind of organized. So hopefully that works out. Ladies and gentlemen, truth seekers and skeptics alike, welcome back to another deep dive into the shadows of power where nothing is as it seems. Today, we're peeling back the layers on the Charlie Kirk incident, from explosive mics, allegedly, and suspicious insurance payouts to hidden connections in Wyoming's LLCs and South Carolina law firms. We'll question why videos get released in some cases, but not others, analyze fresh angles and flying debris, if you haven't seen that from Sam Parker and some others, and even touch on drone tech that might tie into the global directives. So buckle up, we've got morticians, we have physics breakdowns, and shell companies with strange connections to foreign governments, and employee interviews that could blow this thing wide open. Now, the one thing that's interesting about this, I know a lot of people focus on one specific nation state. There are so many more that are probably involved based on what we're learning. So let's go ahead and start off with this interesting piece here. It'll probably put it over my face, but that's, like I said, I'm working with some new stuff here. So someone sent me this, and they said that Superfeed, which a lot of you have been aware of it, and I did a video on it a couple of days ago, but Superfeed Inc. or Superfeed Technologies is the company that does the software for TPUSA Action. And it sounds like there's also a branch in Israel and maybe other places. And she sent me this. It's really interesting. So this is just a screen grab. But so Superfeed Technologies Inc., right? Not a big deal. And as she goes through here, she gets to the point where she clicks on the website, and that's where it gets interesting. And I did some more digging, and I'll give you some more notes here in a second. But so she gets down here. I'll speed this up a little bit. So she clicks on the website, and it takes her to Feed Me Inc. Can you see that? I'm trying to pause it. So you have this Feed Me Inc., right? So I started digging into that. What is Feed Me Inc.? What do they do? Well, there's like 4 or 5 different companies that have that name. Some feed the children in third world countries. Some are technology companies. And then this one apparently maybe is no longer in business. It got overwritten by the Superfeed. So the company used to be Feed Me Inc. until about 2022. And now it is converted into Superfeed. So anyone who's doing any research on this, anything before 2022 is most likely going to be a different name. So I thought that was pretty interesting. All right. So, and that's Lori Francie and Tyler Boyer are on that board. All right, let me shrink this down a little bit. Okay, so first question, a lot of people are saying in the Mangione case, people are saying that they released that footage, right? So you look at this, let me share the screen here. You look at stuff like this and you see
Luigi Mangione did not appear in court today as the judge says he's sick. The hearing for the man who allegedly shot United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Newsroom chilling news surveillance video showing the moments leading up to the shooting of Brian Thompson. This all comes as prosecutors are releasing evidence shedding new light on Mangione's arrest at a Pennsylvania McDonald's. CBS News reporter Katrina Koppman was inside the courtroom. Katrina, walk us.
Shoot him. Then we see that there's a woman.
So the point of this is they're showing Mangione. They actually, in this video, I'm not going to show the whole thing because it's going to take forever, but they show him like blurred out. They show, the guy getting shot blurred out, and they show him continue to shoot and then walk off. So the point is they show the whole video, the shooting and everything. But for Tyler, if they have footage of him on the roof or something, they're not releasing that. And that's very suspect, very strange. All right. Now, next thing I was going to look at is, if you guys haven't followed Danks yet, it's DANKS on YouTube. I think he's also on X. He's been doing some excellent work. It is a smaller channel currently, 11,000, but make sure you guys go over there and show him some love and subscribe and everything. But he's uncovered some more stuff, and it's really interesting. Candace says something about Korea and Japan on her last live stream. Now, he's talking about North Korea here. But when they say Korea, it's confusing to me because I'm like, is it North or South Korea? And in this video, it's titled with North Korea, but he also says South Korea in it. So I'm kind of confused there, but we'll just listen to this here really quick.
Last message is, I am in South Korea. When I return to the US, I want to discuss various concerns. But what concerns and with who? Who benefits from this life insurance policy? Who made it, actually? I'm starting to think that Charlie Kirk didn't even know about this policy. You might think, how is that possible? Well, in Wyoming, you can create a company that you don't need to disclose personal information. And then if you did have to disclose for the life insurance policy, anybody that had the personal information and e-signature of Charlie Kirk could do that for themselves. I'm telling you, this could happen. Somebody with Charlie Kirk's personal information, his medical history, his signature, his ID, any of that stuff could file an LLC in Wyoming and also take out a life insurance policy. It wouldn't be that hard. I'm sure somebody could do it. Erica Kirk is now the CEO of TPUSA, and she controls the organization that funded her husband's policy. So who gets the payout? And why is there the same company that they chose to do business with and still continue to do business with, that the only agency that the FBI had caught in Wyoming doing North Korean money laundering for shell companies of weapons of destruction with North Korea, the same entity that they did business with in order to take out the life insurance policy for Charlie Kirk?
So did you hear that? So according to him, this is his research. I haven't had time to verify every detail. It sounds like he's very, very thorough, but he's basically saying that there's some kind of shell company that's doing some business with North Korea. So that's interesting. I don't know how this is all going to pan out, but he did go to South Korea, right? I didn't hear about a North Korea trip for Charlie. So when Candace said Korea in her live stream, I assumed it was South Korea. But he's saying here that it's the shell companies with North Korea. So, like I said, it's still a little bit confusing. I'm still trying to figure all that stuff out, but it's very interesting. All right. And then we have, this is kind of going into the businesses piece, right? We're going to get into some more stuff and get much more in depth than other topics, but this is really interesting. So this is from Jason Goodman, Crowdsource the Truth. Make sure you guys go check him out. Basically what he's saying is that company, Superfeed Technologies, Inc., is also in a UPS store, just like the 110 company, I believe it was 110, that Wilson Finance was talking about. So now we're starting to see a pattern, right? They have these different companies to do different things that are seemingly unrelated using the UPS store. And while that's not insane, like that does happen, it's pretty interesting that it's kind of consistent. And then the other part of this is what Danks was talking about. So he's talking about their $350,000 loan that they got from TPUSA for GGLF. Sorry, I'm just going back and forth. Like I said, I have new equipment, so I'm making sure I have everything shown correctly. Okay, so the split dollar, Wyoming LLC dissolved. They basically had it lapse over $60, and Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Erica was named CEO, and then the LLC was reinstated. The part that's important, though, is that it was reinstated by the Taylor Law Group. Okay, the thing that's interesting about that is if you go to their website, the Taylor Law Group has been, since January 1st, they ceased active operations. So there seems to be a pattern with these companies is they cause some kind of issue, something happens, people start tracking them or whatever, and then, or they do, some dirty business, and then they get rid of the company. They dissolve it or something, right? So this is the company that reinstated that life insurance policy that is estimated around $20 to $50 million for that $350,000 loan. So that is very interesting. And then let's see. Yep. So next, now we're switching topics. And this is from Allie Top Files. She actually did a live the other night. And Allie, you did great. Very proud of you. But she always catches stuff like this. So if you're on X or if you're not on X and you want to see lots of clues just kind of flying through, then Allie is a good source. But she comes in here and she talks about the size of the hands. So like Erica Kirk's hands are smaller. These are huge. And yes, they've talked about this on like Valhalla and different channels. But what I wanted to show you is something that some of you may have seen already. But there's definitely a size discrepancy. And then they're very yellow, right? That's just kind of what I want to show from this post here. But if you go over here, this is Lauren the Mortician. She does awesome work too. Make sure you guys go check her out. But this is a little snippet where she talks about the hands, right? Because everyone's saying they're fake hands. It's a mannequin, it's a doll. They're too small. So she kind of addresses that, to the best of her ability.
What's normal, what's not, and to hopefully bring some clarity to a situation that's already incredibly painful. The yellow coloring in his hands, totally normal in embalming. Circulation isn't happening anymore, so the extremities often look darker, sallow, or yellowed. Lighting in funeral homes can also exaggerate that look. I've seen that exact presentation hundreds of times. Now, as an embalmer myself, I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed in the color of his hands. I know the embalmer who worked on him may not like me saying this on the internet, but I feel like the cosmetics could have definitely been handled better. Hands and lips are two of the hardest areas for us to restore cosmetically. Hands dry out really quickly after death, and lips lose their natural moisture and fullness. If we don't hydrate the body properly, or if you use the wrong cosmetics, you get uneven skin tones, yellowing, graying, or just that slightly off color people are noticing.
Okay, so she's saying, according to her, and I see in the comments, some of you guys are saying, she was disappointed about the way he turned out, right? She thinks it's him. She thinks that it's his hands. The size thing, I don't know if she addresses that in this video, but she seems like, she's coming from a professional place. She's a mortician. She sees this stuff. So it sounds like, according to her, she believes that is his hands. They just did a really crappy job with the makeup. Okay, so I thought that was interesting. And then she also says this.
After I posted about this, someone from the Utah Office of the Medical Examiner actually reached out to me privately. Actually, I don't think that's weird at all. Totally normal for them to reach out to me because this is wild. And they told me very clearly, yes, Charlie Kirk was autopsied as per homicide protocol, period, end of story. They didn't want their name out there because, let's be honest, they don't want to get dragged into internet chaos. But I trust this source. I verified it myself, and it aligns with everything I know from working in this field. In a homicide, an autopsy isn't optional. Families can't say no, and video evidence doesn't replace forensic science. And that brings me to a question I've got non-stop. Well, didn't Erica Kirk not want an...
So we don't need to watch much more of that, but definitely go check her out. I like her channel. I think she's entertaining. She does a good job. And for this particular piece, she said from her professional opinion, she thinks it's Charlie, right? Yes, this question right here. Charlie's hands are slightly curled, so they look smaller. I mean, that's a possibility. And plus, we don't know what lens they used on their camera. You get certain like fisheye type warping effects and stuff with different lenses. So I don't know. I can't say definitively it is or isn't, but yeah, people said like she seems sincere. Yeah, I agree. All right. So next thing is Callie Kukul. Now, a lot of you may not know who that is. So a while back, I did the pendant theory. And it was a theory that came from this person, Callie Kukul. And I will tell you honestly, to this day, I don't know if it's a he or a she. I don't know if it's a federal agent. or just a student in medical school or something, but whoever it is, they are extremely sharp. Now, L Guy says some of the math was slightly off on previous videos from them, but the amount of detail that they put into all their stuff is insane. So out of nowhere, after a couple months, Callie Kukel reached out to me again. And we're just going to kind of look at a few of the things that he or she had to say. So first was, now their theory, just really quick. Their theory was that Charlie got shot in the back of the head, and then this was an exit wound in the front. Or more specifically, they thought that from the cavitation and everything happening, that the pendant went up into the neck. And I remember a lot of people who were talking about this even today still think possibly that part of the pendant or something went into the neck or hit the neck, right? Especially when you look at the blood coming out, which obviously we can't show here. But if you look at that, you can see that there's something that comes out, right? And John Bray said it, and a couple other people said it as well. Well, it's interesting because Callie Kukel said that like 3 months ago. But look at this. I don't know if you can see it that well. I'm going to zoom in. But Callie Kukel pointed out this little piece here. And he or she said, well, that looks like the entrance wound, right? From the bullet hitting from the back. But now that I've seen this, and we've seen some of the John Bray mic theory, the more I look at this, this looks like a piece of possibly the microphone, right? If the microphone exploded, maybe that piece just flew out of there. I don't know. But I definitely see something there. What it is, I don't know. But it's much more likely that it's a piece of shrapnel flying out from the mic than it is that it's an entry wound. Because like you saw when I shot the pork, you don't really see anything. It's a tiny, tiny little hole. And then he goes on to say, he or she, that was interesting about this still. Like even the mic exploding in the front, if that happened, still doesn't make sense for this. So you have this cavitation here in the back. And in all fairness, like Range Day Bro, and I also believe Chris Martinson, when they shot the ballistic gel, you do see that cavitation. And then you see the back of the neck kind of go out on the gel. So that could be, theoretically what this was in that case. But the human body doesn't act the same way as gel. So I doubt it would expand this far. And plus, you don't see his neck expanded here, right? So it doesn't seem to match. So what could this be? So Callie Kukel said, well, he thought maybe there's something to the Jordan Henshaw, air squib theory. Maybe there's this is the air puff or something, but he did point out it's pointy. So I was thinking, well, if this has something to do with the exploding mic, if that actually is a thing, then maybe a piece of shrapnel got pushed back into his shirt. And that would make this whole thing bend out like that and give it that sharp edge. So that was interesting. And then one more thing. I have to zoom in a lot more for this. Okay, so if you've been watching the video from the side of Charlie Kirk, there's one thing you'll see in only one frame. So as you're going through slow motion, you see it on only one frame, and it's this. See this indentation in his neck? Now, when I say indentation, it's like if you take an air blower, like a really high power one, and you blow it against your skin or your face, it'll change the way you're. That was funny. It'll move your face around, So this to Callie Kukel looked like it was either like severe air pressure, right? Like the Jordan Henshaw Elgeist squib theory, or if this had I don't know what this little black piece is right here. I don't know if that was added. Because that would even show more if that is a flying piece, then that's the most obvious piece we've ever seen, right? I don't know if that was added after or if that's an actual legit piece of this image. But the point is this right here, if there was an explosion under the shirt and it went up, this is bending his face and his chin and jaw and everything. There's a ton of pressure there. And again, only in one frame. So it happened so fast, it was only caught in one of 30 or 60, whatever frames per second this is. So that's very, very interesting. All right. That's Callie Kukel. We did talk about more, and I'll get to more stuff later. But Callie Kukel is kind of getting caught up. I think that person is possibly a medical student or something based on the stuff they say. Seems like they're definitely a medical student. All right. Now we're going to start getting into the John Bray kind of follow-up stuff. And this is where it gets really interesting. So Stu Peters shared this post, And obviously go follow Stu. He's on X, but he's also very prominent on Rumble. I don't know if he's on YouTube. I don't think he is, but go follow him on Rumble and also on X. And he's talking about, the shards of glass and all that stuff here. And actually, let me show you this really quick. Let's see if I can swap this out. Get both of mine. Okay. So this right here, this is that Rode mic. This is the exact same one. If you look on the front, I didn't know this initially, and I think John Brace brought this up, but the front of that is actually glass. So let me see. You can hear that? So the front of that is glass, but then the rest of it is plastic. And it almost seems like there's a couple different kinds of plastic kind of molded together. But the point is there's glass and plastic. So I know initially when some people were talking about it, I think Barron said something like, maybe plastic heated up so much that it changed the way it looked and turned shiny or something. Well, it wouldn't even have to do that in this case because it has glass. So let me get back to this. All right. So let's look at some of these. See if I can zoom in here. All right. So first one, hopefully you can see this. Let me see if I can make this bigger. That's about as big as I can make it. I apologize if you can't see that. Above this 47 hat, see where these arrows are? You can see a piece there. And now this is flying off to his left. So if he's looking at the camera, this is flying off to his left. You see this piece here, and you see this piece here, right? You see two of them. And then here on this image, you see a couple more pieces that are flying off. Okay. Now these are in the air. I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, this is BS. This is just for, views or clicks or whatever. But as I'm looking at this, there's more and more pieces adding up, literally. So I find that very interesting. And then let's see if I could actually get it to go slow enough here. There's a pretty chunky piece that comes down right there. Can I pause that? Let me see if I can pause that. Right there. You see that? That's a very sizable piece of something. Okay. I don't know exactly what that is, but along with these you can see another smaller piece just above it where my mouse is. There's a small piece there and a much larger piece there. And then you saw the other pieces and the other angles. So as I was looking at this, I'm like, that's very interesting. Very, very interesting. So as I came over here, I started looking at these other photos that we have here. Let me see if I can resituate this. Here we go. So as I zoom in here, this one was just to show that those same candies are here that are in the car. But on these other images, if you zoom in, this is the one from Charles McClintock Wilson. And obviously, go check out the photos and stuff and follow his work if you want. This is where, Barron was saying he was burnt. But if you zoom in, you see something either shiny, excuse me, or plastic is like embedded in his pants. And if you remember, when he was sitting there, he had his hands were down, right? So his hands and the mic and stuff were down by in his crotch, basically, right? So if if this alleged explosion happened, then he would have pieces of shrapnel sticking into his pants and also hitting his hand, right? So I kept digging. This one was just to show that the cops, stopping these people, but not necessarily the cameraman. But that's a whole different thing. Then I looked at this one. So this is George Zen. This is after the oh, hold on. I wasn't sharing here. Give me a second. I did a Barron. Now I owe Barron $3.15 or whatever it is that they're doing with the clap thing. All right. So this is George Zen. And if you look over here, this is after they already went past. You see what looks like a black piece of plastic here. And you see what looks like a little, I don't know what that is. I mean, obviously this is on the outside. It could be rocks. It could be anything. But to me, that one right there looks like a piece of plastic for sure. This other one, I'm not quite sure. Okay. And then same thing here. If I zoom in, you can see little black pieces that look like plastic. And then also on his leg again, you have another look at whatever is, that glass or that plastic or whatever is like embedded into his pants. So, I mean, this, and again, over there's more pieces by the cop car. So as I go through this and I'm looking, I'm basically on every frame now. I'm looking for shrapnel on every single frame. But the thing that's interesting, and remember those 2 marks that were on his arm? I'm actually almost starting to think those might be like pieces of plastic or something. But all right, so this is what's interesting though. Now, the security guards that were carrying him. See if I go back here really quick. Where is it? Right. Well, I guess this guy here with the long hair. So he's the main one that's carrying Charlie, right? He has like a lot of his weight in his arms and stuff. So I was like, does he have any shrapnel on him? Because I would expect him of all people to be looking at that. So as I go into it and I look at this. Okay, this is him standing afterwards, standing guard. If I zoom in, look at this. I might be crazy, but is that not a black piece of glass or plastic? And he has blood on him from Charlie because he was carrying him and stuff? I don't know. What do you guys think? If you think that that's plastic or glass, put a 1 in the chat. If you think it's not, put a 2. If you don't agree, put a 2. If you agree, put a 1. But to me, that looks like plastic or glass or something. And I'm not going to take credit for that. One of you guys reached out to me and said that you thought you saw something on his arm. So, yeah. Again, this could be just a coincidence. This could be a piece of grass. Maybe as he was, fighting to get Charlie up and that kind of stuff, he got grass on his arm or something. But to me, I looked at it a lot. Like, I wasn't even going to bring this up, but the more I look at it, it does not look organic. It looks inorganic. So, yeah, very interesting. See if I can get out of here. There we go. Okay. All right. So now, obviously, we've been talking about PETN and explosions and different things with John Bray. And by the way, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central, I'm going to be on with Valhalla VFT and John Bray, and we're going to be kind of debating, not necessarily arguing, but we're kind of looking at kind of like the weak points of John Bray's theory, right? Because every theory has things that have to be worked on and things that may or may not be true or fit together or work. So I asked Valhalla. A lot of people are saying, oh, Valhalla, whatever. He's already addressed that stuff with Mitch and everything. So we're not even going to talk about it on the show. But I asked him because he has experience in this area. And he actually reviewed my video with John and has some great questions I didn't even think of. So I think if anyone should do it, I think it should be him. So it'll be John, myself, and Valhalla VFT tomorrow at 6 p.m. And we're going to go deeper into John's theory. But I wanted to show you this because this right here, this isn't a PETN example. And in this case, most of those pagers and stuff from the previous explosions in Lebanon, they had 20 to 50 grams of the PETN. This demonstration only uses 6. So I just want to show you this really quick.
What you are looking at is a bomb in the making. The white powder is the explosive PETN. 6 grams of it, just a tiny fraction. We're getting a lesson about PETN's destructive force.
Ready to go? Fuse is being lit.
Everything about the test is real. PETN is dangerous.
Not taking any chances, because that's going to go off in just a few seconds.
Now, I want to point out before they actually show the damage, that didn't look like much, right? It just kind of like knocked the plate off to the side, but I want you to see how much power it had.
Very impressive.
It's gone through? And they have burnt away.
This is what 6 grams of...
You see that? They had enough force to bend the steel just with 6 grams. They typically, based on what people are saying, is 20 to 50 grams. They go into devices. Now, I don't know how much can fit into this specific pager, but or this mic, I should say. But we'll find out because John is doing a prototype. So for anyone who is not familiar with John's work, John Bray is awesome. Go follow him. Go check him out. I wish he had a YouTube channel and did videos and stuff, but he has a very, very good business and he's busy and Exit's his main place. But he says, soon, a few final touches and we'll be ready to print it. Next, I need someone with access to PETN to step up and test it. So he's putting together the like the main cone, the jet. And then after that's put in place, I guess he's going to have to get someone else to do PETN. I would assume he needs some kind of special licensing or, some kind of special clearance or something to access it. But I thought that was pretty interesting. And then here's another quick demonstration. This is just a tiny bit inside of ballistic gel. So I do want to show something here that's interesting to me that I'm going to have to ask John about tomorrow. A tiny bit. Okay, so those first couple of frames, do you see? I mean, it looks like it's a fire, right? It's a lot of heat. And this is one of the reasons why I want to bring Valhalla on, because he was talking about, the fact that he should have been burnt, like badly. So just this tiny amount that's in this ballistic gel block, I mean, you can see the fire going in there. Then here in a second, you're gonna see the burning through it, like the char. Now, anyone that says an explosion can't cause cavitation, check that out. And did you also see that? See these specks flying away? These chunks in here? Could that have been part of what we saw as well? Maybe not. Maybe it wasn't the microphone itself. Maybe it was specks from the actual charge itself. But see, now it's black. It's charred. So that is one of the things that I was like, okay, well, I think Valhalla has a good point. I know that John mentioned that maybe certain types of these specific shape charges can burn clean, but even if it burns clean, it's still going to burn the flesh. So so we just have some questions. That's why I think that debate's going to be really fun. All right. So one thing I want to talk about too really quick was the Rode Wireless Go. Elgeist and Baron, interestingly enough, the same night, both brought up the same point. And that's a really good point. They said, why don't they release the audio from the microphone, the wireless microphone? And I thought about it. I was like, well, that microphone itself records internally and it also sends a signal through the transmitter. So let me show you this here really quick again. Okay, so there's two pieces. So this is the transmitter piece, and this is what you actually wear up on your chest. And then that sends a signal to this. And this is the receiver. And the receiver will typically be hooked up through either a hot shoe or like a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, right? And that's typically how the audio gets into those cameras and stuff that are behind them. But on the transmitter that would be on Charlie, you can also record internally. And there's a big difference between them because this the transmitter itself can record in 32-bit. So that's really important. And then the audio that goes into the camera is only 24-bit. And for people who don't know much about audio, 32-bit float just means that if I'm recording with it and I yell really loud, it won't clip, right? 24-bit, it can still clip. So if we get audio samples from this microphone and they're in 24-bit, then we know that those came from the camera. So unless we get a 32-bit float version of that file, then we shouldn't really accept it. Because if we get a 32-bit version from that transmitter, that means the transmitter did not explode, right? If we get a 24-bit version that would be going to the camera through the receiver, then that means that that wasn't from the original piece that Charlie was wearing. So that's just a small side note. Still important though. All right, and real quick, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you guys subscribe. A lot of work goes into these shows. I know they're interesting to watch and that kind of stuff, but we put in hours and hours and hours of work on these. And make sure you follow those other people that are listed in here too. And I'll put that down in the description afterwards. All right, so next piece I wanted to show, there's a lot of talk about drones. People said there were no drones. Some said there were. There were some marketing drones for TPUSA. And then obviously Brian Harpole was saying that the police chief said they couldn't have them and UVU said they couldn't have them or whatever, right? But Jason Goodman originally was looking at this stuff and he found what he thought was drones. He still doesn't know 100% if it's drones or birds, I don't believe. Jason, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I just want to show a couple of videos of his, and then we're going to jump into some more stuff about the drones and those the weapons. What does that look like to you? I'm looking for bird wings, right? But he mentioned that too. And on a couple of things, it looks like the wing, like what would be the wings, aren't moving. And maybe, maybe darn near impossible to tell, but it's very interesting. And then here's another. Now, let me back that up a little bit. Okay. So this is a different one. So I think there were up to 3 that he spotted. And you can see this one up here, that one there. And then there's a closer look. And if you watch the way it comes in, it doesn't look like a bird to me. I mean, you guys let me know. If you think it's a bird, put a 1. If you think it's a drone, put a 2. So bird 1, drone 2. But to me, it looks like a drone. Obviously, we could be wrong. It's low resolution. And even he says himself, it's hard to determine if it's wings flapping or if it's, a drone. But there are drones that flap their wings. There are a lot of drones that do that. All right. Now this is, this where it gets really interesting. So we did a live stream. This is with Elgeist and Jordan Hinshaw and Kelly Raybon. And we were basically going over like the he faked his death theory and any headway they've made. All right. And whether you believe it or not, it's an interesting conversation. If you don't know, Elgeist is a classical physicist, and he's worked with Jesse on Fire as well. He did an episode with him. And he also spoke to, I guess, a friend of Jesse's who's also a physicist. And Elgeist was able to show his work to that guy. And that guy was like, this makes sense. This looks right to me. Okay. And then a third person contacted us, and they emailed me, and then I reached out to Elgeist, and they've been going back and forth. And, they obviously they want to remain anonymous, but they looked all through Elgeist's work, looked at all the audio forensics analysis, looked at his trajectory and everything else that he said that he put together. And this physicist did his own version. So what he did is he looked at Elgeist's numbers, but the method Elgeist used, this physicist did not use that method. He used his own method. And he's a very well-known physicist in the United States at a college. And what he came up with was a very extremely, extremely interesting version of what happened. He agrees with Elgeist in the shot, including the trunk, interestingly enough. So the physicist agrees with Elgeist that the shot did not seem to head towards Charlie. And if you go back to that, to this live stream, you can go check it out. There's a lot of detail in there. But the part I want to show you about this is this physicist, while just listening to the audio and going through the different algorithms and everything that he put together, he found what he thinks is a drone. Okay, so let's listen to that.
He thinks he found he thinks he found a drone. Essentially, he found a drone with a speaker that contaminated the results on the Northern Auditorium. So what is the Northern Auditorium? The Northern Auditorium is this part of the auditorium. And here you can see that I was also a bit clueless why so many of these recordings on this side here, which is the northern side, I just turned it around here. But this is north and this is south. And so many on this northern side have such a bad audio quality.
So I want to make sure you heard that. So in all the audio analysis that I believe Audio Freak has been doing as well, there's a group of mics that have strange anomalies, like something's off with them. So they decided to not use that audio. But now this physicist that has been working with Elgeist says that he's found evidence that those have been tampered with real time. Not the audio directly itself, but the audio waves going through the air.
And he says essentially there must have been a drone right around here, 20 or 19 meters above ground. So he calculated this very precisely. And this drone must have shot some kind of ultrasonic contamination signal into this direction.
Now, this is really interesting.
This is really,
well, so the reason why that's interesting, we'll say, I say interesting a lot, but we just saw those videos from Jason Goodman where he's showing what looks like some kind of drone or something. I think he said he saw up to 3 of them. And then there's also a video where you see it's in the same exact area that Elgeist is saying this other physicist said that the audio signal would come from a drone or something similar. So it could just be a coincidence, but I find that very interesting because you have to remember that people are talking about these ISR drones, and that's intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. And these drones are designed to basically go in and get intel. They don't necessarily ever have weapons on them. They could, but you know, and we'll get more into the weapons part here in a second. But the interesting part is that it seems as though, according to video we've seen, and this physicist only working with audio, mind you, said that there seemed to be a drone or something over here by 4, 12, and 15 that was interfering with audio on this side. I find that very interesting. So what would be the purpose of that? I mean, it could be just as simple as they just want to throw off the audio signal in general, but could it be maybe that was required so that no one could do really good audio analysis in that area for some reason? Because remember, Chris Martenson was saying that he thought it was the Sorensen Center because the shooter does line up. There is a line of sight. And then Kelly Raybon showed that video where it seems as though there's some kind of white figure that's moving on the roof at the Sorensen Center. So there's just a lot of pieces, a lot of moving pieces, but hopefully we'll get them all put together at some point. But I just want to show you that. It's very, very interesting. All right, now we get into the weapons stuff. So we'll start with Venezuela. So in Venezuela, there was a soldier who survived the attack from the U.S. And that soldier, actually, let me see if I can pull the full story here. Where did I put you? There it is. All right, let me show you this. So there's this Venezuelan security guard. He's, with Nicolas Maduro. And he says on the day of the operation, he was with his guys. They saw drones, they saw helicopters. And after the drones appeared, helicopters came. There was a very small number of men, very small number. So some people are saying like 20. So like 20 soldiers, right? And then they had very advanced technology. And they didn't look like anything they fought against before. He said it was a massacre. This is the soldier who survived. He said there were hundreds of us, but we had no chance. They were shooting with precision and speed. It sounds like they're firing 300 rounds per minute. Okay. The interesting part, though, is what happened to him. He says at one point they launched something, so maybe a drone or something, I'm not sure. I don't know how to describe it. It was like a very intense sound wave, right? Like acoustic weapon. Suddenly I felt like my head was exploding from the inside. We all started bleeding from the nose. Some were vomiting blood. We fell to the ground, unable to move. So that's some kind of directed energy weapon, right? Which a lot of people have asked me about when they're talking about the Charlie Kirk case. So that could have been some kind of directed energy weapon. I don't know if they're that precise to just hit his neck, for example. But the technology is there. It was just used in Venezuela. and it's scaring the hell out of those people down there because they don't know what else the U.S. has. Yeah, it could be microwaves, it could be acoustic. I'm not 100% sure yet, but so going back to this stuff, so people are talking about, what is this cognitive electromagnetic warfare? So this is the budget. So the U.S. budget, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2026, they have cognitive electromagnetic warfare on their ledger. So they're budgeting for that. And remember, this could be turned on us. This isn't just for our enemies. And then Destiny, let's see. She goes by Desi Rezi. Make sure you guys check her out. Oops. I think I just lost it. Can I get back to it? I might have lost that one. I lost it. All right. So, but anyway, what she shows is another official document that basically says the same thing. It says that this technology is there. They're investing a lot of money in it. It's basically could be used on us, right? All those type of things. And then Barron was talking about this this military higher up who said that he would shoot an American, right? If they were deemed a terrorist or something similar, that they would have no problem turning that stuff on us. Well, that includes whatever weapons they have, which includes these energy weapons. But the thing I thought was interesting is the way this person put it. Cognitive electromagnetic warfare is the fusion point between neurological disruption, electromagnetic field manipulation, and information domain targeting. It moves beyond influence. It moves beyond jamming. It targets perception itself, right? It's a weapon of attention, emotion, memory, and belief via electromagnetic vectors tuned to the cognitive layer. So I don't know if that means like a form of mind control, but we've known about this kind of stuff for a while, or at least a lot of you probably have. And I think that it's very, very interesting. Yeah, someone says they use some in Australia. So, but it's just interesting, like, cognitive warfare, electromagnetic warfare, neurobehavioral engineering. Like, I mean, are they doing this stuff to us now? Is this happening with 5G? Is this going to be happening with 6G that's supposed to be coming out? I don't know. But I think it's all very sketchy for sure. And we talked about security guard. Okay. Now this is Peter Ducey, I believe. Yeah, Peter Ducey. And this was a while back, but he basically had one of these weapons aimed at him. And he kind of explains what it feels like.
It sounds a lot like something this reporter got hit with at Quantico in this piece from 2013.
The military says the active denial system is not radioactive, it's not a microwave, and it's not a laser beam. It's instead a man-sized beam of millimeter waves that can be fired from up to 1,000 meters away that are designed to get the subject, whoever's standing on this X, really, really hot so that they move. And it's about 50 degrees out here right now, but I just felt like it was about 1,000. And I've never been inside a tub that somebody dropped a hairdryer in, but I would imagine that that's what it feels like.
It sounds a lot like something.
So I've heard from other people that are in the military that have been not really guinea pigs, but once they made it safe to test on troops, they got hit by this, and it feels like the lining and the liquids in your body are starting to boil. Like it's very strange. And this was years ago. So imagine what they have now. All right. So I want to talk about this as well. Now a lot of this stuff is kind of setting the stage for tomorrow as well with Valhalla and John Bray. But this was the Tennessee plant, and it was Accurate Energetic Systems. This was let's see how big, is that big enough? Maybe. But this is one that exploded. And this is the one that John Bray says made the type of shape charges and stuff that may have been used on Charlie, right? And there's supposedly some other connections through other companies and LLCs and stuff that kind of like might lead this back to certain people associated with TPUSA or people that deal with them, right? But the interesting thing is, I think it was, I don't remember the exact timeline. It was like 30 days later or something. This Tennessee plant exploded. And you can see it's completely gone. And a lot of people are saying it was a cover-up. Okay, that's interesting. But what I want to look at, because a lot of people have seen this, is I want to look at the interviews that happened after that.
The latest on the deadly plant explosion in Hickman County. For the first time, we are hearing from an employee at AES. As our Jordan James reports, that woman is hesitant to go back to work.
A few days following the explosion here in Humphreys County, an employee is reflecting on the tragedy, which has put their life on hold.
It's rough. It's definitely rough.
A reality that consumes Jade Began's life.
It's kind of hard to wrap your head around.
16 of her colleagues were killed in the explosion at Accurate Energetic Systems last week.
I knew quite a bit of them. You know, I've only been there for 3 months, but they, you know, you get a work family.
Okay, so one thing I want to bring up here. She was there for 3 months, okay? A lot of the people have been there for decades or longer. And 3 months, remember that.
And you grow to know these people.
Began tells me she makes commercial explosives and works in the building where the blast happened, but left a few hours prior.
I very well could have been.
So remember that she's only been there for 3 months. She left right before, and then it exploded, okay?
In that building, you know, and it could have been my family that was getting that call. Fortunately enough, I was spared.
Federal authorities.
Okay, so now let's listen to the other guy. This is another person that supposedly worked for the same company, and listen to what he says. Make sure I have audio.
Tell me about your day.
Oh.
Which specific part do you want to know? Let's just start at how this happened, what you were doing.
Well, how this happened, I can only tell you what little bit I know.
Yeah.
So I left at 7:37. Clocked out 7:37, would have made it by the gate 7:40.
Mm-hmm.
So I live out towards North 13. As soon as I got on South 13 to head towards Waverly, saw 2 police cars coming this direction, and my mind process was like, oh, probably a wreck happened. So I kept driving, got home, I had a little bit of talk with my father, and then I got friends calling me, and they said, are you okay? Are you alive? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, I heard your building blew up. I was like, what are you talking about? The building blew up at your job, and there was an explosion. I was like, this is a bad joke. More people kept calling, more texts, all of it. Everyone asking if I'm okay. I'm like, what's going on? And then eventually 2 coworkers call, and they ask, and at that point I'm like, okay, something serious has happened. So I call my 3rd shift supervisor twice. He's the only one that didn't make it off the property visually.
Okay, I won't make you suffer through all of this, but he basically says the same thing she said. He says, I've been working there for 3 months, and I left right before. So you have 2 different people who left just right before, who've only been there for 3 months. And if you look at the comments under this, I won't go through all of them, but I mean, people are saying that this dude, the way he's acting, his mannerisms, the way he's talking, how he's kind of like looking off camera and playing with his beard and talking like with no emotion, seems very strange. So a lot of people are questioning, like, were they planted there, right? Like, was this guy and this girl and a couple other people that just started 3 months ago, were they the ones that blew up the plant? But then there's also this other interesting piece where there's someone who, I think, was she a pipe? She works like with the pipe union or something, and she died. No, she killed her family. I want to make sure I quote this correctly. I believe she killed her family and herself or something similar. Someone killed the 4 of them, but she was one of the people that would have been working on the pipes and stuff at that plant. So that was interesting as well. So it seems like there's something with that plant. The timing, the 30 days later, these strange interviews, the fact that that woman who worked on the pipes is dead, and apparently her family's dead as well. Very, very strange. Seems like a major cover-up. So that's the main things I wanted to show. We can definitely get into questions and stuff here, but the big takeaway is there's a lot of pieces that are really helping John's theory that I've seen a lot. So there are some questions, very good questions about how that has, that we're going to try and see. I already gave those questions to John, so he has time to prep and do some more research. And hopefully, I think tomorrow's going to be a great show. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. Let me start getting into questions here. Let's see. I cannot say it. Rolf Harold Pedersen. Thanks for becoming a channel member. Let's see. Mark Hatteen. Audio engineering and firearms enthusiast here. I'd love to look over some info regarding the shot, being technologies, advanced facsimile, multi-gunshot, Dolby Atmos. Is there a channel email? Yes. Mark, if you're still on, I know this was on earlier. My email is down in the description of the video and also on my channel itself. Let's see. Yep, we covered that. So Callie Kukul is the one who had the theory with the pendant and the shot from behind. Let's see. Is this the Hindu goddess? Sorry, I don't know much about that. No, Callie Kukul, based on what I know, there may be some, yes. Like, obviously I don't want to dox the person. I don't know if it's a male or female. I don't know anything about them really. But I get the feeling that it is of Indian, like from India. So yes, the Callie Kukul could be the Hindu goddess. Let's see. Will there be guests? Unfortunately, no. No guests today. We have some good ones lined up, though. Let's see. I'm just getting past the Callie Kukul stuff. We have a lot of Callie Kukul questions here. Yes, Erica was at the Peach Bowl. She was having the time of her life. She is living it up. She's really liking it. And this goes along with it. Did you confirm if Erica's pregnant? I did a video on that. And from what I can tell, there is a ultrasound. The ultrasound name says France V. So it would have been pre-Kirk, I would assume. So maybe she's pregnant with someone's kid. I don't know. But there's a lot of pictures that have come out recently of her alibi picture with the actual children. And the boy looks huge. He looks like he's like 5 years old. So clearly that was not a real thing. Let's see. Did I know our Department of Health and Human Services, or what is that? Department of Homeland Security is based in Israel. I saw that when Twitter turned on the locations for the different accounts on X, I know that it showed Israel. I don't know if that was if that's legit or not, but that account on X definitely is. Why so many shell companies for TPUSA? I think it gives them the opportunity to move money around and maybe like with what Dank is looking at, Danks, I should say, maybe it's giving them an opportunity to get into corruption with these other countries and make a whole bunch of money off of weapons and that kind of stuff. And maybe even, just thinking about this now, what if it puts stuff in place, because we know that like Erica and her mom, they're into the EMPs, and there's that CIA video going around where she's talking about EMPs and that kind of stuff. What if they are selling the technology to do EMPs and that kind of stuff and attack the US to one side, and at the same time, they're getting paid money to protect from that on the other side, like they're double dipping. I don't know. Let's see. Someone said, who's Shamika? I don't know who Shamika is. All right, let's do the, yes, everyone's asking about the poll. Let's look at that. The poll, oh, wow. I wasn't expecting this. Okay, so the question was, is the corruption inherent to TPUSA? Did it finish? There we go. Is the corruption within the walls of TPUSA? 99% say yes, 1% say no. That's out of 2.3 thousand votes. So that's a lot of votes. So at this point, I think everyone is pretty much convinced that TPUSA has some evildoers. We'll say that. Let's see. This is a really good question. Does anyone believe Charlie could have also been corrupt? I hate the thought of that, but could it be a possibility? I ask myself this a lot. There's too many moving pieces and too many different shell companies, and Erica and her mom and the people he's around, and Tyler Boyer being part of it, and TPUSA Faith and Rob McCoy. You know, there's just so many people around him that are doing all this sketchy stuff. And he went to South Korea. He went to Japan. I mean, I don't know how he couldn't know. You know, like in my head, I'm trying to like logically think, how could they get away with all this stuff and Charlie have zero idea? Now, some people argue and say, well, he started to do the Doge audit. So obviously he was starting to catch wind of it, right? Like he's starting to get the idea that something was going on there. But I don't know. It's a good question. Now, I hate to do this question. Now, like I said, I'm pro Charlie Kirk, but let's do this question. Do you think Charlie Kirk knew about any of this? That's the question in the poll. All right, let's see. Victoria Mary, thanks for the super chat. We need to find out who isn't at UPS store. That's funny. Being me, thanks for becoming a member. Charlie's hands are slightly curled so they look smaller. That's referring to the mortician. I think that's a big possibility. A lot of people want to think that Charlie's still alive, but based on a lot of the stuff that we've seen from the John Bray theory and some of the pieces of shrapnel and different things, if that's all true, right? That's all alleged, but it's not looking good. Let's see. Is it true Erica isn't letting Charlie's parents see the children? I heard that today. I also heard today that there was a DNA test that showed it wasn't his kids. And I also heard that from the Congresswoman, I think it's Anna something, said that his kids, or that she doesn't have the kids. She lost Charlie, she lost the kids, and then she talks about something else. So there's something going on with the kids. What exactly it is, I don't know. I can't say for sure. None of it's really been 100% confirmed. Boom. Look at that. See that angle change? That's with this new equipment. And I'm going to start working with all this stuff so I can do cool stuff like that. Now I'm back. All right, let's see. On the life insurance policy, wouldn't the insurance company do its own investigation into it? Yes, unless they get paid off to not do that, right? You'd be surprised what money will make you do. So I think a lot of these cases, if they took that policy out and were planning to do something with it and make that money off of it, they might give the people that set it up a cut. I don't know. I mean, if you're a smart criminal, I'm sure you would set something up like that. Let's see. That's funny. Kaylee Cuoco. No. Callie Kukul. But yes, a lot of people asked that initially if it was Kaylee Cuoco, the actress. His neck. What's the line from under his ear to the back of his neck? That is his necklace. Yeah, this is a really good question, Nina. Why did he wear a white shirt? If he wanted to cover something up, if he wanted to do the whole blood squib thing and fake it, what better way than a dark shirt, right? He usually wore black shirts. So I don't know about you, but if I'm going to fake my death today, I'm definitely going to wear an all black shirt that's not see-through and put everything underneath that and make sure 100% that people will never see what's underneath. Plus, what was everyone looking for in the grass? Let me see if I can pull up that video I put up today. So there's a video that was going around, and let me pull it up here really quick. Can I show this without showing blood? I don't know if I can show this without showing blood. Let me see. I'm just previewing it really quick to make sure I can show this part. Okay. So in this video, it shows the crew here. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. It's on X. I did another version of it where I enhanced it a little bit, I brightened it and make it a little bit sharper. But you can see as they pick up Charlie and take him around this corner, you can see, I think it's Rick Cutler, which is the same one that Bram was talking about with that Fairy Lake or Fairy Mountain or whatever that was. Rick Cutler, after the other guys pick up Charlie and they're walking around the corner, Rick Cutler still looks like he's picking stuff up off the ground. And then he lifts up in his hands like this, right, from behind. So it's almost like he has a handful of pieces. And then he kind of goes behind everyone else and kind of runs out. So that might be what you're talking about, but it is pretty sketchy. Pretty sketchy for sure. Chemicals from the explosion could be found in the grass. Yeah, except that they paved over the grass. So maybe if you broke up that concrete, you could still find whatever that chemical is, and possibly that way. Maybe dogs could still smell it. What was the prequel to the explosion? if you're talking about the mic explosion, you can see it like this shirt and everything. That's the recoil, right? You can actually see, let me grab the mic here. So you can actually see at one point, let me get to the right direction. So the mic actually, this is really hard flipped. So the mic actually starts here and then it goes boom and it comes back, right? So that's the recoil. Like it flies back and then the magnet's still on the shirt on the inside, or the magnet's still on the top and then the clip's still on the inside. And that's one piece that, that's one thing I brought up to John, and John's awesome. He just digs in deeper, but I pointed out that the magnet was still there. So it exploded towards his neck and then it went back. And then you see some of the letters of the F on freedom are hidden. And then you can see the edge of the magnet. So that's why if you see the most updated John Bray version of the theory, he talks about the circuit board hitting his neck and not the magnet. So, you know, it's all iterative, right? Just because a couple of things don't fit perfectly doesn't mean that that the whole thing is gone. So let me see here. Someone was talking about volume. Is that volume? Oh, volume of one of the videos I played. Yeah, I apologize if the videos aren't loud enough. I can't really make them any louder. They're already maxed out. Let's see. Where's all the blood? Tons of blood. I wish I could show you this. So if you go to X, if you look me up on X, it's TriggerSmart HQ. Let me stop this banner here really quick. If you go to TriggerSmart HQ on X, I have this video that I'm talking about here and it shows blood, but there's blood everywhere. YouTube doesn't really allow you to show it. So most people don't show it on YouTube. That's why a lot of you probably don't think that there was much blood. If you go on X, you'll see blood on him, all over him. You see blood on his security guards. There's blood on the platform that he's sitting on. And there's blood in the vehicle, in the picture that Candace showed, on the seatbelt and on whatever like paper bag, whatever that was there. So there's definitely blood. Let's see. Being me, thanks for becoming a channel member. Let's see. What happened to the prosthetics idea? They're still working on it. If you look at Jordan Hinshaw on YouTube, I think he does a nightly test. So go over there and check him out. Let's see. Yes, I do have a tip line. The tip line is the email that's down in the description. It's the engcwarrior@gmail.com. DC Thomas, thanks for the super chat. Feds will claim a 30-06 bullet hit and shattered his microphone, which explains why he had a neck wound in addition to the main chest wound. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to explain that. I mean, so if they hit the microphone, it's not going to bounce off the microphone and go up into his neck. So I don't think they're going to be able to explain that away. Let's see. See, when they were carrying off CK into the SUV, I saw a shirt darkened, either soaked in blood or burnt. It's blood. There's a lot of blood. So I've looked through all these images, and if anyone else has something different, definitely send it to me and other people, but I can't find anything burnt. I've looked at all the hand images, the shirts, his legs, you know, everything from every angle. Every picture I've seen, I've enhanced them even more, and I can't find anything burnt yet. So let's see. Did the FBI actually collect handheld and in-shirt microphones? That's a good question. We don't know. And if they did have a microphone, because remember, these are just little separate units. So how do we know that the one, say the one allegedly blows up, and they have another one, they just put it in place with a magnet, right? And they can just say, oh, no, it wasn't the microphone, right? Because it's right here. And you can basically pair any of these with any receiver. So I don't know. It seems pretty easy to get around. Let's see. This is a quick question. Can you ask a viewer if someone else had to loan a high-speed camera to John? So I guess any of you guys, any subscribers, people watching right now, if you know where to get a high-speed camera so that John Bray can use it, that'd be very helpful. And I know Evil Ranger, there is a company, I want to say it's expensive. It's like $1,000 a day, but you can rent those like, 100,000 plus frame per second cameras. They use it all the time on gun YouTube channels. Let me find these super chat. Here we go. Wilson, thanks for the super chat. The van for the trunk shot theory is completely separated from the other vehicles by an extra row of barricades. Who open close the hatch? Completely separated. Based on everything I've seen, it looks like it's just right there. But I don't see a barricade. I'm not sure what you're referring to specifically. Split hair. How loud is a tiny drone? Not very. So if you have a drone, like for example, do I have my drone? I don't have it put together right now. So I have a drone that is probably about that size, and it's loud as shit. Like you're going to hear it. But there's drones that are smaller and way less, and they're extremely quiet. Now, if it's, I don't know, probably if it's within, 10 feet, you're going to hear it. But if it's, 20, 30 feet over your head, you won't even notice it. Let's see. So you trust a cell phone to pick up a micro drone? No, people are just working with what they have, right? So we have some very high quality video, and we have some very average. We have some, all cell phone footage is very highly processed, video and audio. Not the best, but it's better than nothing. Lil Nuggles, thanks for the super chat. Thank you for all the time you're putting into this. Your research is phenomenal. Thank you. And make sure you guys hit that like. Again, the like is the only thing that makes YouTube happy, and it's the only thing that pushes this out to other people to watch. Ivan is Ivan, thanks for the super chat. Sean Bryan podcast from about a month ago had new police drone Skidio X10. They have many capabilities. Yeah, I mean, these IRS drones and these specialty drones, they've been around for a long time, and they're getting very, very advanced. The biggest downfall to them, honestly, is just the battery. So I think mine's like a medium-sized drone, but it might get 30 minutes, maybe. Those smaller drones, if you're talking about these ones that are kind of flying around the ISR drones, with regular batteries, you're looking at probably 15, 20-minute flight time. But for all we know, they could be nuclear. I mean, we don't know. Maybe they're nuclear powered. L2 Design, thanks for the super chat. Palantir, Alex Carp, we will drone you fentanyl? Not sure what that is. Like video, please share this man's awesome channel. Thanks, Evil Ranger. Let's see. Yeah, people talking about 5G and 6G. Yeah, that plant is basically nothing left. And I don't know if that would happen. I mean, it is an explosive plant. They do make explosives, commercial and residential, and also like military application. So obviously they have the explosive material there. So the fact that it's gone makes sense. Yeah, Kevry Cat, that woman that was like on the pipe guild or whatever that's called for Tennessee for that plant. I mean, don't quote me on it. That's why I was trying to like kind of fill you guys out to get someone to mention it. But I believe she is dead, and I thought her family was also dead. Like it was a very strange situation, but it might just be her. Cindy Lou, thanks for becoming a channel member. Do I think Charlie's alive? I do. I unfortunately don't think so. I don't think he's alive. Has Candace or anyone close ever seen the kid? Oh, that's okay. Has Candace or anyone close ever seen the kids? That's a really good question. Because, and I'm surprised no one has addressed this. Okay, so let's think about this really quick. Candace was one of Charlie's best friends. And I believe she was at the wedding. I want to say there's some pictures of her with Erica. So clearly she's been around them. If she's that close to him, then she must have seen the children, you would assume. So has Candace ever seen these children? Are they really his children? Interesting. I don't know, Candace, if you want to address that, that'd be a really interesting question. See, when is Kelly going to Utah to ask real questions? She's ready any day. Kelly Raybon wants to go on the ground. Ant Lang, thanks for the super chat. I'm not sure if you forgot to put a message or not, but you can add messages. Let's see here. Turk Yurdi. Thanks for the super chat. Let's face it, we are enslaved by global mafia. 100%. 100%. And I think when we see multiple sides of things, that might just be by design, right? Just for division. But I think behind the scenes, they're high-fiving and shaking hands and getting rich together. A lot of people think that about Republicans and Democrats. Like you'll find behind the scenes, there's a lot of Republicans and Democrats who like fight publicly, but behind closed doors, they're like hanging out and stuff. You know, like you see like Trump with Obama or Trump with Clinton, like hanging out at parties and, you know, that kind of stuff. At least that's pictures that we've seen. Let's see. Erica lost custody. Yeah, there's a video that went around. I think it's Anna Paulina. That's what it was. So Anna Paulina, she said that she kind of slipped. I don't think she was supposed to say anything about it, but she basically says like, yeah, you know, it's tragic. Erica lost her husband. She lost her kids. And then she like pivots really quick to say something else. So I think that's what most people are basing it on. Wilson, thanks for the super chat. At 22:45 on Life is Driving video, a man in a shirt and tie says something to the security team, and then they start searching the ground. Is this after the incident or before? I assume it's after. And was that Phil Lyman? Was he in a suit and tie? I don't remember. Let's see. Epstein was small potatoes compared to TPUSA. Now it's starting to look that way. Let me check that poll. That poll says, so the question was, do you think Charlie Kirk knew about any of this? Let's see what it says. So 55% of you say that Charlie knew, 45% say he didn't know. Now, does that mean that he knew and was part of it, or he just knew about it? That's a whole different question. Let me ask that. Did Charlie know about the crime and was part of it? Now, again, I'm not trying to say he's a criminal or he's crooked or anything like that. I'm just trying to get a feeling for where people's heads are at with all this stuff. Because the more stuff that comes out about these shell companies, it's looking pretty strange. Have I ever looked into LED mesh? I have not. I'm a doctor. There's more blood in the nosebleed than you saw on Charlie. I would highly disagree. Sorry, Doc. I'm not sure what images and stuff you've seen, but you can just look at his shirt, and if that was a nosebleed, he'd probably pass out. Let's see. I thought Barron said that he had a picture that showed a burn all over CK's chest. Did anyone else hear that? Yeah, I remember that. A couple different videos, he had mentioned that he saw what looked like a burn kind of under the right nipple area, I believe, maybe like on the ribs on that side. He hasn't really done much more with it. So I'm not sure if he's kind of holding that one until he gets more information or if he kind of gave up on it, but I'm sure we'll hear about that, you know, coming up in the future. Would Charlie's bones have broken inside him with no external damage? Is this, I assume you're talking about the exploding mic theory. Yeah, I mean, there could have been enormous amounts of damage on the inside from the pressure wave. If it was a true shape charge and actually went internal, he would have a hole burnt through him. But based on the picture from the back, it didn't go all the way through. But yeah, he would have had broken bones, you know, liquefied and damaged organs. You know, his heart probably would have been pulverized. I mean, we're going to get more into this stuff tomorrow. I think we're going to get a lot more in depth with Valhalla and John Bray tomorrow in our live stream. But yeah, there would definitely be a lot of damage. Now, you say with no external damage, that's the part that I think Valhalla's really going to push John on. But again, we don't have, you know, we don't have an autopsy officially, publicly anyway. We don't have images of him after the fact. So we don't know if there are burns and different things that happened. So, you know, you're kind of guessing at that point. Ferguson, thanks for the super chat. Pro Constitution said CPS called GPs have kids. Oh, Project Constitution said that Child Protective Services called the grandparents and they have the kids. Is that confirmed? If that's confirmed, then that's your answer. How come Brian Harple did not have blood in his hands? I know the other, like I said, we can't show the blood on here on YouTube, but if you look on X and if you go to Rumble, I believe Rumble will let you can definitely see blood around. And yeah, some people are saying they thought Charlie was a patsy himself. But there's definitely blood on the security. There's blood on their pants. Actually, let me see if I have a YouTube safe picture I can show. Give me 1 second. I don't think I do, but let's see. Where are you? So we have security. Yeah, I want to say, let's see. You can kind of see on this one. Let me see, share this. So you can see on this one, like this is one of the security guards. And you can see that he was down in the grass, right? You see grass marks on his pants. See some blood there. He has blood on his knee, right? Just a blood stain. YouTube, this is not like gore. And then we have these little dabs of it. And then he has that on his hand. Right? So there definitely was blood. I know a lot of people keep saying that there wasn't, or how come there was no blood? There's definitely blood. If you look at the pictures and really get into them in video, you will definitely see some. Caldwell, thanks for the super chat. As a doctor, no neck wound stops bleeding after 3 seconds. Only blood transfer after that. Even if the heart stops, would be prolific bleeding at minutes 30 to 40 seconds. Okay, so for Dr. Caldwell, if let's say in the instance, I don't know how many people you've worked on who have had like explosions hit them, but a major impact to the chest can stop your heart for sure, like just in football or any other sport. And then you also have, in this case, an explosion, which is significantly more powerful. So say, just like out of curiosity, so if an explosion hits and it damages things, and that alone would just, basically destroy his heart, but it would definitely stop his heart, basically instantly. So in that case, would there still be blood, I guess? So just let me know. You don't have to super chat it. I'll keep an eye out for it. But I'm curious, I know there's like some little mechanism in the heart that if you get like shot in the head or something, that your heart will kind of keep going for a while. But, if it's a direct hit to your chest, especially from like a powerful explosive like that, I don't know. I would pretty much think it would stop right away. Let's see. Thanks, work hard, play harder for the super chat. Love watching you because you present and challenge all the theories. I like that you work with and promote other podcasters and no high ego. Thank you. Yeah, I'm very, very neutral. I have some thoughts about things, and when I do, I share it. And Kelly always gives me crap about it. But yeah, I try to be fair. That's why people are saying like, why Valhalla and John? Well, because it's the perfect mix, right? You have Valhalla with the military experience and the experience with shape charges and combat, and then you have John Bray, who has this theory with all this information that has like some little holes in it, right? So you bring those two together, and it helps John move his theory forward. So that's the idea. So I think it's the perfect match. Let's see. Sean Hedman, thanks for the super chat. I'm stunned that the red dots, not more covers about the child picture. Why would she put a blunt testy false picture on the? Okay, so I know you can see how insane this super chat looks. This is how it is when you try and do a super chat from a phone. For some operating systems and some phones, it does it to me. So anytime I do a super chat on my phone, I have to type it in a note or something first, and then copy and paste it into the super chat. If I type directly in the super chat on my phone, I get stuff like this. I think you're saying you're stunned that the red dots don't cover more. Why would she put a false picture online? Yeah, I mean, they're trying the alibi thing, right? They're trying to see how much they can get past on people. And you guys are too sharp. You guys are catching everything. Let's see. Could I turn off those annoying polls popping up? The polls are important. And let's check this one. Did Charlie know about the crime and was part of it? Okay, now this is different. So before it was 55% said, actually, let me end the poll so you can see it too. All right. So the first question was, did Charlie know about the crime and wrongdoing? And 55% of you guys said yes, and 45% said no. Now I said, did Charlie know about the crime and was part of it? 73% said no, and 27% said yes. So that means that you guys think he was aware of it, but he was not complacent. He was not part of it. Interesting. Okay. Lorik Wasaki, thanks for the super chat. My gut says there are no kids. That's why Erica Kirk is free as a bird. And I think that also goes back to if the parents have the kids, she's still free as a bird too. So, yeah, I mean, the kids thing, playing devil's advocate, if Charlie was complacent in this and was part of it, and this was like a money laundering thing, and they had connections to all these other countries and, weapons of mass destruction and everything else, the kids could just be, it could be like Rent-A-Kids. They just get their friends' kids for a couple photo ops. Maybe some Romanian kids for some photo ops. I don't know. Obviously, I'm partially kidding. Let's see. What kind of band is he wearing? What kind of band is he wearing? What is underneath? Is that a battery? Based on what I saw, I didn't see any bands at all. There is oh, I think I know what you're asking about. Let me pull it up here if I can find it. Where is it? I think the thing you're talking about is Brian Harple's. He has like a satchel thing that has the medical stuff in it. And when you look at a couple of different pictures of Charlie, it almost looks like he has like a band around his like chest or something, but it's just the straps and stuff from Brian Harple's kits. So I think that's what you're talking about. Hopefully I answered your question. Let's see. Being me, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate your dedication to the truth. It's Sunday, and we appreciate your updates. Thank you. Thank you, Being me. Yeah, no CPR, no first aid done. I mean, it was quick. It was 15 seconds. So just for example, like a AED that you have to pop out and hook up and everything to restart their heart or, treat fibrillation. I think that can take like up to a minute, like 30 seconds to a minute to deploy. And in this case, I think he said within 15 seconds, he made the decision to take off, get off the X. That was his whole thing. And that is a thing, that's like in military training and that kind of stuff and tactical training that I do with, all the military guys. They say the same thing, get off the X. If someone's shooting at you, obviously you don't want to stay in the same place. You want to keep moving to different covers and that kind of thing. So, I guess I get that part of it. But from a medical standpoint, you're supposed to stabilize them, stop the bleeding first, right? And then after you stop the bleed, then you would, stabilize the neck, probably. I assume if his neck was all flopping around and they thought he got shot in the neck, they would think that there's some destruction there. So all of that was just skipped. Someone said, I love your polls, informative. And actually, did I start another one? I didn't, did I? We'll do another one. And guys, real quick, just make sure you hit that like. Make sure you subscribe if you're not. We do stuff like this a lot. And I say we, because I do work with a lot of other people. Obviously, this is my channel, but I have a lot of other guests and stuff on all the time. Das Green, thanks for the super chat. Any thoughts on why the magnet was on the outside and the microphone was under the shirt? Okay, so I guess the best way to answer that is it's more personal preference, right? So if you have the mic on the outside, it doesn't look great. If you flip it around and put it on the inside and you just have the magnet there, it's not as bad, not as visible, right? There is one more reason why you would specifically put it under. And I did see, I believe someone on X had like a kind of a montage that showed Charlie at different events with his black shirt and the mic on. And sometimes it was on the outside, but a lot of times it was on the inside. This wasn't the first time it was on the inside. But one major reason is wind. So if it's windy outside, you do have the little windsock. Let me pull this out here. You do have like this little windsock that goes on top of the mic, right? And that's to it's to basically give you like a cleaner signal, so you don't get like the on the mic, right? But if you also put it inside your shirt, like on a windy day outside in Utah, then you get the benefit of your shirt also acting as another set of wind protection. So I think it was a combination of wind protection and also the fact that it looks better on the inside. I think that's probably why. But obviously, if there was nefarious reasons, if it's on the inside, it's a lot easier to try to hide. Let's see. You guys just love Palm Guy. You guys love Palm Gun Guy. And that's who Baron was talking about recently as well, Rick Cutler. Could Palm Gun Guy actually have been the one setting off the device? Yeah, I mean, that's possible. Oh, that just reminded me. So that girl's ex. So the page I tried to go to that messed up and I couldn't get back to it. This reminded me. So what she was saying about this was those drones and some of that like direct energy weapon. There is some kind of military contract or something that was in place, and the purpose of it was to remotely detonate electronics and explosives and stuff. That was like that contract or that piece. So that's what I forgot about. Thanks for reminding me. Kidda Gigi Mew. Thanks for the super chat. There's something fishy about the Phillips family. Thanks, Trigger, for your journalism. What's your background? I guess my generic background is I'm a software engineer by trade, and a lot of time in martial arts and tactical training. That's my background. So I don't know if you want deeper than that, but did sports and all that good stuff, like fishing, long walks on the beach. All right, let's see. More Mikey McCoy stuff, as always. Was there a paramedic kneeling next to him in the tent? I don't believe so, but there were definitely paramedics when they got to the vehicle, and they were turned down. But based on the injury, whether it was from an alleged explosion or the gunshot, I don't think there's much they could have done, to be honest. You know, you always want to have hope in these kind of situations, but I don't think it would have mattered. Let's see. Are there any pictures of security looking backwards or covering them while they run to the car? Yes. Let me see if I have it here already loaded. I don't think I do, but I can find it really quick. Show notes, security. All right. So like this one, this image here, this shows, this is Rick Cutler for anyone that doesn't know. This is the arm pistol guy, I believe, or the palm pistol guy, I should say. He's also the one that appears to be possibly picking up pieces of something off the ground as they're taking Charlie out. And then you have like this guy here, he's actually looking to the crowd, right? And I think in the full size picture, which I cropped this in, but I believe there's a picture where he's actually has his hand on his gun. So, and there's also a police officer on the left side of this gentleman in the back, the Asian police officer that you saw in some of the other pictures. He's also has his gun drawn, right? So there are a couple of people that are actually watching the crowd and watching for a shooter and that kind of stuff. But his security team, most of them, are either getting the vehicle, there were some plainclothes guys in the crowd, or they are surrounding him. So hope that answers your question. Let's see. If we're to take this floating mic theory, what exactly was the shooting object and planned trajectory? And would that plan not show obvious different autopsy results? 100% the autopsy would be completely different. You would see like a caved in chest. If there was an actual shape charge like John Bray is saying, you'd see possible holes because it's almost like a plasma that melts through. Some of them use like a copper projectile, but either way, you'd see like obvious holes, right? in the chest for a gunshot wound to the neck. So it would definitely change the autopsy results. What was the planned trajectory? It's a good question. You know, that's kind of the stuff that John is working through and talking through and testing out. But I mean, if you have an explosion with enough force to stop the heart and cause that kind of damage, I don't know how much trajectory matters. And like he says, he thinks the neck wound was a side effect, not was the original plan. It wasn't plan A. Let's see. Some electrocution theory stuff. Why were his feet resting on water bottles? Could just be for comfort. He had a bad back, and he would use he had like a orthopedic pillow, you know, like the lower back pillow. So maybe that was just another thing that helped him. Let's see. Greg's 2821. What if Charlie didn't know about the $10 million life insurance, the LLC, who created it? CK would have just put Erica Kirk as a beneficiary. No. Okay, so this is in Danks. If you're watching this, maybe you can answer these questions. Maybe you've already answered these questions, but it wasn't a $10 million life insurance. I think it was more than $10 million. It was $350,000 cost per year, I believe, and they got a loan for that. But who created it? I don't know if we know. I think that the Taylor law firm that I showed you that they're no longer practicing as of January 1st, 2026. I think they reinstated it. I'm not sure who created it initially. And then as far as Charlie Kirk putting Erica Kirk as a beneficiary, I think the beneficiary, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat and stuff, but I believe the beneficiary is the president or CEO of TPUSA. Or is a policy just on that person? I don't know. I don't know much about this kind of stuff. This might be more of like maybe a Baron question. I don't really get into like, you know, law and that kind of stuff. So let's see. And if you guys can, hit that like. Don't forget to subscribe. If you guys want to support the channel, I do put links down in the description. There's merch. I've been working on some new t-shirts. My current one is basically my logo, but I want to do some funny stuff and some creative stuff for t-shirts. And then obviously you can donate, and then also you can become channel members. And I thank all of you who have become channel members, much more than I was expecting. So very much appreciated. Couldn't do it without you. Let's see. Do I have a military background? I do not. I know that surprises a lot of people. Let's see. So do I think that the two guys that were on my show were wrong about Charlie being alive? I think there's so much about both of their theories, and their theories kind of fit together, right? And that's why I had both of them on at the same time. There are so many pieces of their theories that have even caught the attention of like Jesse on Fire and some other channels that is very compelling, and is one of the only things that really explains the behavior of some of the people around. Like you see like the nonchalantness of people just like hanging out, walking around casually, not running when there's gunshots, not seeming sad, like Erica Kirk. His so-called buddies at TPUSA that are running his show, you know, Andrew Colvett and those guys, seeming like kind of like non-emotional or unemotional. That a lot of that would be explained if they knew he was alive. Right. So there's some things about it that are very interesting. And since we don't know 100% that he's dead, because we don't have like a medical report and a coroner's report and autopsy and all that stuff, and we don't know 100% that he's alive, right? If he did fake it and he went to Valhalla, like, what's in it, Kash Patel, like Kash Patel said in the news conference, you know, we don't know either way, technically. A lot of electrocution stuff here. Yeah, I'm not sure if Baron is still putting much weight into the electrocution theory. So yeah, I'm not sure how you want to. I don't know how to answer those questions. I guess that wasn't really my theory. It wasn't something I put a lot of weight in. I did do some videos on it. I did 3 videos on it, actually, as to how it could happen, including the water bottle thing. So check that out if you want to. Let's see. Cindy Lou says, I am a life insurance agent. You have to be involved in your own insurance. So you're saying that this policy for Charlie, well, actually it wasn't for Charlie, it was for the president or the CEO of TPUSA, right? Whoever that may be. So you're saying that whoever that current CEO or president is would have to be involved in making that policy? Is that what you're saying? Let's see. If the goal was to stop his heart, why wouldn't they have the mic on the left side near his heart? If you have that much power from the explosion anywhere in that region, anywhere on the torso, you're basically going to get the same effect. It didn't have to be like, you know, exactly accurate over a certain part of the heart or anything like that. It just exploded in general and would just hit the whole chest. This is interesting. Now we have Truman Show saying the opposite. I saw life insurance and he doesn't have to know about an insurance on him. So now we have battle of the insurance agents. Ooh, okay. So if you guys can figure out amongst yourselves in the chat, is it that he did need to know or he doesn't need to know? But see, this is why you have to be careful and you have to vet your sources, because we have 2 different life insurance people telling us different things in the chat real time right here. All right, let me check the poll. All right. So we'll say was, what do you call it? Was Charlie Kirk a patsy used by Lori and Erica? So basically, was Charlie Kirk just a pawn being used by Lori Francevy and Erica? And I just say those 2 because I know that, as far as I know, the father has passed. Erica's father has passed. So, and there may be a chance that he's still around. You know, these people, they've changed their names a lot. So I believe it was Stu Peters that brought this information out, but Lori Francevy has 11 different aliases. So she has 11 different variations of her first name, last name, middle name that she has used officially. So that doesn't seem normal. Kind of strange. William Cumbie, thanks for the super chat. The reason the audio closer to shooter is tampered with is because there was no supersonic crack from the bullet. So Audio Freak and Elgeist and some other people have all agreed that there is a supersonic crack based on the crack thump. I did some research and it is interesting that something like a shape charge can also create a supersonic crack. The difference is, I don't believe there would be like a whip, right? It's just like the thud and then the crack. So as far as I know, it does break the sound barrier, and breaking the sound barrier is what makes that sound. So, you know, I unfortunately, I think Audio Freak has, based on his research so far, he doesn't put a lot of weight in the exploding mic theory from an audio standpoint, because he doesn't see anything in that main auditorium area or courtyard, I guess. He doesn't see anything that looks like the audio signature of an explosive, but he does see what looks like a 30-06 round or some sort of high power rifle round. So it's interesting. Let's see. Insurance is based on the state. Yeah, I know it gets super deep. And I know that it changes all the time as well. Sylvia Barbieri, long time no see. Thanks for the super chat. Did anyone verify if Erica and Charlie's marriage certificate authenticated? That's a good question. I've never looked that up. Yeah, there's an assignment for you, at-home mom sleuths and you internet sleuths. Can anyone verify that they were actually married? Is there an actual marriage certificate? Truman Show, thanks for the super chat. Let's see. Handling each other the pieces of the debris they took off his shirt. That microphone because it blew up, and that's why there was no red on the shirt. I'm not sure if you're saying there was no blood. There's definitely blood on the shirt. Yeah, I can't show it on here. Yeah, just go to X. Go to X and look at my account and others, and you will see there's definitely blood. There's definitely blood. There's blood that's soaked into his shirt, and there's blood on his the security crew, and there's blood on the platform he was on, and there's blood in the vehicle. And in one picture, you can actually see it's kind of graphic, but as they're grabbing him and running him to the vehicle, you can actually see blood dripping down from him. You can see it like midair, right? So there must have been a lot of it because it was caught on that one still shot. Let's see. The company can be the beneficiary or the partners. Okay. Oh, interesting. That's correct. Record companies can put insurance on rappers, and the rappers don't know about it. Interesting. In my state, my brother could take out a life insurance policy on me, and I can't stop it. This isn't good, guys. Don't do this. Don't take out random life insurance policies on people so that they have an accident, okay? Yeah, there's more people saying their ex put one on them and they didn't know about it. They didn't sign anything. That's terrible. Taniel, thanks for the super chat. Are you aware of any long continuous footage of the scene after? Footage of them cleaning up, breaking down the equipment, local news journalists filming the breaking news at UVU, footage of forensics units. There is some footage after. There's definitely footage of police and SWAT, for sure. As far as like breaking down the equipment, I haven't seen that, but I have seen people walking all around and hanging out and, taking pictures and that kind of stuff afterwards, like well afterwards. Yeah, I haven't seen anything of them taking it down or who took it down. If anyone has that, can you link that to me? Send me an email. That would be very interesting. Let's see. If Supersonic have the audio experts analyze tint proximity sound files and confirm a body impact slap sound before the distant shot sound. Yes, I believe so. I think Elgeist has dug into this. Sort of the other physicist that kind of checked his work. And then Audio Freak, I'm not sure if you've done this or not. If you're out there watching, let me know. I'm very interested. And I think he's kind of going through each position around that courtyard, all the different mics and stuff that were available, at least the good quality stuff. And he's trying to rule out different locations. So that should be very helpful, especially when it's done. Let's see. Couple questions. Why are Charlie's dad's eyes black when he's at the White House? And did you know Eric was married before? Was Charlie's dad's? Did I see the black eye? Nope. And did I know Erica? I assume you mean Erica was married before. I've heard some stuff. I don't know how true it is, but she definitely had other relationships for sure, including Cabot Phillips. So I would assume that a marriage or even previous children wouldn't be out of the question. Abbas, Dr. I don't know, is that Doctor? Abbas, Dieter, Judith. Thanks for the super chat. And you can put messages with those. I'm not sure if you knew. This is a good question. Why did CK have both eyes open, or sorry, both eyes closed and motionless way before the shot hit his neck? Well, this assumes that a shot hit his neck, right? That would be the official FBI narrative. But even with, like, an alleged explosion, would he brace himself before an explosion? He wouldn't know it's coming. It would happen so fast, he wouldn't even have time to react to it. So, I mean, him closing his eyes and being motionless and that kind of stuff, like he was kind of anticipating something, that's a big question here. I think that's part of what kind of fed the electrocution theory. A lot of people were like saying, if the current started going through him, and I'm not an electrician, so current, amperage, whatever the correct word is, when it's going through his body, when it's surging through him, would that initial charge that hits him cause him to kind of like close his eyes and kind of shut down? I don't know, but it is very strange for sure. Let's see, Pull. Thank you, Gary, for the super chat. Was this a planned drama to encourage donations that wasn't intended to result in Charlie Kirk's death and Charlie a willing participant? Well, let's see. Our first poll, let's finish that one. Was Charlie Kirk a patsy used by Lori and Erica? 85% say yes. 15% say no. So a lot of you think that Charlie was just being used. All right, let me see if I can shorten this question here. Was this planned? Okay. Was this all planned to encourage donations? That was not. Okay. To encourage donations and Charlie willing. It's an interesting question. Thanks for the super chat. Erica is on her freedom tour. Yeah, she's free as you can get. No husband, no kids. She's living a life. Silvana Barberi, thanks for the super chat. Just out of curiosity, is there any such person that can be hired or you may know, like a PI, like a private investigator? There's tons of them. I don't know any personally, but I guess it depends on what you're looking for. I know Kelly Raybon is trying to possibly get on the ground out there, knock on some doors and interview some people. Maybe try to get in with like Chief Long and some other people that no one's really talked to yet. But as far as me personally, I don't know any PIs. Never used one. New and dangerous opinions. Thanks for the super chat. How are they going to justify getting shot in the chest to cover for exploding Mike if no hole in the shirt and no blood in the front? Well, with the way this was all set up, it was so fast. I don't think it would have mattered, right? Because if the medical examiner and the doctors and everyone, because I guess supposedly they were like Google searched ahead of time, that whole Google Trends thing that Barron brought out. If all those people are in on it, it wouldn't matter what the damage was. They would just make up a story that went with it. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. Like if the exploding mic happened and it was supposed to be like a 30-06 round, like John's saying, there's no, hole right there in the shirt. So, and technically you wouldn't always see a hole in the shirt, depending on the material and the size of the round and that kind of stuff, but typically you would. So yeah, I mean, it's a good question, but I think it wouldn't matter. If enough people are involved in the cover up, they're just going to make the story fit whatever they can. Let's see. Bobby Alley, thanks for the super chat. The picture of his neck I just saw on X is a perfect square. Yeah, I think the stuff that John's been looking at also looks very, very jagged edged. So there's also I think he calls like an optical flow, but the blood that comes out of the neck, he actually runs a software on it and he can see something pretty jagged edge looking coming out of the wound. So for whatever that's worth. And I saw someone else had an image where it looked like something shiny was coming out. Like maybe it was like one of the little pendants on his necklace. So there's something there. I'm not sure exactly what. Akira, thanks for the super chat. On the topic of the employee stated they just left, I think they meant they just got off work at 7. Thank you for catching me up on everything. Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. I thought it was interesting that both of the people that were interviewed were like emotionless, had only been there for 3 months, and were the only interviews, right? Which is strange. And then, I mean, it's a small town, but they're the only interviews. And the fact that they both left just before. But yeah, it could be very possible that that was the end of their shift and they just got lucky, right? It's always a possibility. William Cumby, thanks for the super chat. Thud from the roof, crack heard from SM58, which is the microphone, through the PA speakers, and charge. Only one crack, and its waveform is very different from source to source. Let's see. Thud from the roof, crack heard through the SM58 through PA speakers, and charge, only one crack in its waveform. Yeah. So with this, the other part of this is that the PA speakers, they're not strong enough to project like, so okay, so say if a supersonic event happens next to a microphone and it's hooked up to the PA system, the audio coming out of the PA system is not also going to be supersonic, right? So that's not going to project supersonic signals out to other microphones and other sources. Ivan is Ivan. Thanks for the super chat. How do you justify not having arranged security for the 9/11 event? Yeah, so for a lot of people that don't know, so Charlie was killed. The very next day, there's another event that was scheduled. And after he died, they turned it into, some kind of like what they call a vestigial or whatever they call it, but basically like a morning session. But they said there was no security set up. So, if Brian Harple especially is so sharp, he's on top of everything. He makes sure, weeks in advance, he does intel and he makes sure that there's enough people and that everything's safe. Why would they not have had security scheduled for the next day? It's very telling. And you would think if you're like a good criminal, you would have thought of that. But that alone is very suspicious. So he dies on September 10th, and the September 11th event has no scheduled security for a security team that was weeks ahead on all the events. Kind of crazy. Abbas DTR. I'm not sure what DTR is. Is that Doctor? Abbas Dr. Judith. Thanks for another super chat. Let's see. How come no word on Cabot Phillips? Call the National Enquirer. So I know there's a lot of people looking into that, looking into him. And if you look on X, a lot of people think that the person going up the stairs, I think it was Diligent Denizen, but the people going up the stairs, or the guy going up the stairs, and Cabot Phillips in some of his images look very similar, like similar jawline, hairline, everything. Like I didn't look at the ears, like the earlobes and stuff, but they look kind of similar. So that's interesting. And I'm not sure how far he's really dug into that sense, but Cabot Phillips being with Erica Kirk before and playing basketball with Charlie, and then them saying they didn't know each other, Charlie and Erica somehow, but they both knew Cabot Phillips. And then, he was with the Daily Wire. Now he's doing like tours. He's kind of doing what Charlie did, and he's Erica Kirk's ex. And something came out too. This is all alleged, but there's some Instagram stuff where someone made it seem like the post that she put was like she was like obsessed with Cabot Phillips. So I don't know. Very, very strange. And of course, military ties across the board. He has a non-identical twin brother, where they call it fraternal twins or something. But he has a twin in the military, and it seems like everyone across the board, all these people have military ties. What is a nonprofit? They still make money. Nonprofits can do creative accounting, but for example, like Red Cross and those, and Goodwill. I know the CEO of Goodwill one year made $4 million from a nonprofit. So, yeah, they're very creative in how they handle the money, and some of them do very well. And don't even help the people they say they're going to help. Nina, does this Brian H. have any remorse? He seemed very, very emotional. He was very emotional on Sean Ryan. So if he is part of this, he's definitely feeling guilty. Let's see. Had a question, but messed up filling out my super chat. Yeah, I figured. Let's see. Late to show. Any news on CK Kids' whereabouts? So I haven't been able to confirm if it's. I haven't been able to confirm if it was because Anna DePaul or whatever her name is, the senator or whatever she is. She basically said she slipped, and she said that Erica lost her husband and she lost her kids, and then other stuff has come out today, kind of everywhere now, saying that there was a DNA test, and based on that DNA test, it's not Charlie's kids, and Erica's preventing Charlie's parents, from seeing the kids. And then I also heard that the parents have the kids. And then I also heard that who's that commentator? There's some other famous right commentator guy, older guy that he supposedly was babysitting the kids or something. It's just really weird. These poor kids, right? If these kids are real, they're being just thrown around. They're being tossed around everywhere. Wouldn't the policy be void if it was not active during the time of his death? I believe that's how it works. I know with my mother, she had a policy in place, and she let it lapse like the last 3 or 4 weeks or something. She didn't pay that $50, so they didn't pay anything out. So that's a good question. Yeah, so I guess it technically, was it not active in the time period that he died? If that's the case, then it shouldn't pay out unless there's some kind of special stipulation or they paid a certain amount to make sure that was, protected or something. But Carol, thanks for the super chat. What are your thoughts on how Tyler got involved, considering we know it's likely the mic that killed Charlie? So Tyler, based on what I see, there's a lot of areas where Tyler has like LLCs and other companies with Erica's mom. So Tyler Boyer, as far as I can tell, I'm just catching stuff flying by on X and that kind of thing, but he definitely has some business interests with other people that are involved, possibly. So I think that's where he comes in. Did the autopsy photos get to show in court? They haven't even gotten to the case, technically. They've only talked about if media is allowed. That's about as far as that case has gone. And actually, the 16th, which is, what day is that? What day is the 16th? Friday. Yeah, so this coming Friday is supposed to be another court date. And I might, if I can, there's a lawyer that I've been talking to specifically about this stuff. And he says he can jump on with me on a live during the court case. And obviously this is going to go for like months or a year or more. But I'm going to have him on and do kind of like live commentary and do like the translation if there's any like legalese and stuff. So that might be fun. And for anyone that's in here now, if you weren't here before, make sure you guys check us out tomorrow. I'm going to have John Bray and Valhalla on, Valhalla VFT. And we're basically going to try to tear apart the microphone theory, the exploding mic theory, and kind of challenge John to see if he can fill some of those gaps, right? We've already seen a lot of stuff that kind of pushes that direction. This, seems interesting or intriguing. So we're going to see if we can dig a little bit deeper. And everyone, if you can, hit that like. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe. And just making sure I'm getting all the super chats. I know, let's see, Tyler won't last a year. I don't know. I don't think Tyler's a company thief. That's two different Tylers. Yeah, I think Tyler, I don't know if he's really in danger in jail, to be honest. I mean, if he's going to take the fall, there's no reason for them to get rid of him. That looks even more suspicious, right? Especially after Epstein. All right. I believe I've hit all the super chats and we're at 2 hours. So, yeah, I appreciate everyone being here. Make sure you guys hit that like on the way out. And it's always a pleasure having you guys, and we'll keep doing this. I will see you tomorrow, hopefully, with me, Valhalla, and John Bray. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Thanks for stopping by.